position here?
Do you want me to be talking to you or to the either camera?
To this camera.
Okay. Hi, my name is David Palomares. I'm Executive Director of Community Media of the Foothills, also known as KGEM-TV.
Community Media of the Foothills, better known as KGEM-TV, is a public access TV station located in Monrovia in Southern California. Like many other public access stations, KGEM airs locally produced television programs on its dedicated channels to residents of the city of Monrovia. Having been around for over 35 years, KGEM's been here for quite some time, and it provides more than a few services to the public.
So the main thing is that we are all about promoting artistry, freedom of speech, civic engagement, and we provide a facility for people from the community, from Monrovia and Doherty, to come in and utilize the space, utilize the equipment, take advantage of some basic training, and being able to use it as a producer to produce your own shows.
Equipment rentals, editing bays, and access to a full production studio are just a few of the many services available to Monrovia residents.
That's mainly what we provide to the community. We provide a place for you to come in, and if you want to produce a show, or if you want to do an interview, or you're interested in certain hobbies, then you can come in, play guitar, blogging, anything that you might have an interest in. You can come in and utilize this facility.
From programming stations to editing projects to going on shoots, the staff at KGEM is always busy.
Every day is a little different, so some days there's going to be editing that's required. Some days we're going to go out in the field and shoot events. Some days we're going to come in here to the studio and shoot tapings. It just depends on what's on the calendar and what's been planned ahead.
At one point, public access stations were everywhere, but over the years, they've begun to decline in terms of popularity. KGEM-TV stands as one of the few remaining media centers in the San Gabriel Valley, servicing not only Monrovia, but many of its neighboring cities as well. Nowadays, however, many only know public access as quirky, off-the-wall TV that lacks any real promise or integrity. But to those in the tightly knitted culture of community TV at places like KGEM, public access is so much more. It's a place for people to come together and express their individuality, their freedom of speech, and their common love of television. If there's any place to dive into the culture of KGEM, and public access as a whole, it's with one of the station's most prolific and renowned producers.
All right, if you're just tuning in and you're wondering, who is this guy? This guy is Ralph Walker, local producer in the city of Monrovia, California. Yes, I host a talk show. Yes, I've been involved with KGEM for over 23 years or something like that. What I produce conversations with Ralph Walker, and I can cover the gauntlet from A to Z. You pick a subject and I pretty much have touched base with it.
Ralph's show, Conversations with Ralph Walker, has been around for a long time. It's become a cultural cornerstone for those who know it in Monrovia. His show has run the gamut, from covering local politics to interviewing the likes of Rosa Parks and Muhammad Ali. Ralph is, in a way, Monrovia's own little celebrity.
I guess you could say been mentored a little bit, or been mentored by Ralph. Ralph's mentored a lot of people, but so subtly where you don't even know you're being mentored. He just will come in and just say something, and you realize he has great ideas.
And if Ralph is Monrovia's celebrity, public access is his platform. Without it, his show would never hit the air. And to Ralph, that's really what public access is all about. Local news for a local audience. It's a way for people to have their voices heard in a way that would be otherwise impossible.
Because a community without a voice is a community with no progress. Sure, your local news, your 257, 911, and all those money stations, sure, they can come out and give you 2 minutes or something. But KGEM, they can give you a half an hour of much needed information.
And it seems that many producers at KGEM share the same sentiment as Ralph.
It's TV where you have a voice, where you don't have to go jump through the hoops of Hollywood or who you know and the network of nepotism and cronyism, but you actually have an opportunity to get involved in putting your message out there. And even if it's not a serious message, like my show is more frivolous in a way, although I think it's important, but if you have a message, you have a voice, and you could actually be filmed and you could actually get out there.
Ethel Andrews is another longtime producer at KGEM, and for her, public access is the best way to tell her story and share her passion for mixology with a wider audience.
10 years now I've been doing a show about mixology here on KGEM, and I consider it a privilege to be able to do that and to demonstrate cocktails. The only way that I'd be able to talk about that is if I happen to be doing a party. Then I could mention that to people, or if I'm with a group of friends, maybe at a dinner I could mention that, but other than having KGEM, quite honestly, I couldn't.
When COVID-19 first got its popularity, I don't know if I'm using the right word, but when it started being talked about, I decided, wouldn't it be interesting to have the mayor and the school board president come on and talk about what's going on in the city of Monrovia? So COVID-19 ended up doing 19 shows informing the residents in Monrovia, California of what was life like dealing with that.
Ralph's work with local politicians leads us to another interesting aspect of community television like KGEM, one that was made necessary by the decline in the popularity of their regular programming. Many public access centers like KGEM not only act as public cable TV, but also a production company that contracts with the city itself.
This was originally set up for the city, public access, and they wanted to kind of disassociate themselves and have a separate entity run it, and that's where Community Media The Foothills came in. KGEM, KMAC, and KGov still belongs to the city, or I should say the citizens of Monrovia. We just manage it.
Like many other public access stations, KGEM has entered into a contract with its city to cover meetings, community events, local elections, and more. Things like the Christmas Parade and the city's annual Monrovia Days Festival are some of the many events that KGEM is responsible for covering as the city's own production company.
Specific projects like that, we're always ready to jump in and help the city any way they want. And that's ultimately what I want this facility to be too. Obviously we're here for the public, but we're here to help the city to tell their story and to convey information to the citizens.
But although KGEM has distinguished itself through contracting with the city, they of course retain and respect their public access roots. KGEM-TV plays out 3 separate channels to Monrovia residents.
So KGEM is our flagship. It's really promoting the feel-good of things that are going on around the city. So the holiday parade, the Monrovia Days, anything that people want to cover as far as like hobbies or bands playing. So that kind of thing that promotes our city, but it's kind of more middle of the road. But pretty much anything that's outside of anything that might be controversial.
The second channel, KGov, is where municipal meetings such as school board meetings and the city council are played out. And no part of KGEM is more authentically public access than KMAC, the Freedom of Speech channel.
KMAC has a tendency to be more freedom of speech. So that's where you might see Louis Farrakhan. You might see Ben Shapiro playing. You might see shows like, the Dirk Side, or Horror Kung Fu Theater, which we want to promote artistry, we want to promote freedom of speech and creativity. And KMAC was primarily set up, I think, to have the freedom of speech type of shows playing out. And so that's kind of how it's geared, and that's how we kind of separated.
I mostly put shows on KMAC, produced the Horror Kung Fu Theater and various Adam Papagon production shows. Those are comedies and comedy skits. Also to be on KGEM, it needs to be community oriented. Whereas on KMAC, it can be more just comedy. That's usually what I work on. I work on the stuff that's comedy. But every now and then, there's someone who comes in and does a religious-based show. So there's more of a latitude on that.
Any show deemed not suitable for playout on KGEM is relinquished to KMAC. It's home to many comedy sketches, political shows, and other off-the-wall content. It's also home to many of KGEM's oldest and longest-running programs, like the Horror Kung Fu Theater, with over 1,000 episodes on air.
So they have to focus on the main meat and potatoes of the station, and that is KGEM, and that is the city council meetings, school board meetings, the Christmas parade, all the different things. So KMAC is it's more bare bones, because a lot of people are just producing their own stuff and editing their own stuff, and it looks very public access-y. But the good part is it is very public access. Someone can walk in, they say, hey, I have an idea, and put a show on.
And I've grown to really appreciate what this is all about. And before, I didn't at all.
This is a great place to come in and check out the equipment and talk to the staff and get a tour, have a tour of the facility, look at the equipment we have, kind of talk to us about what your plans are, and let us help you. Let us help you either to produce a show or to just come in and help us to videotape some of the shows.
Get involved. Get involved by actively being a participant. And now when you think with cell phones, everybody can be a producer now. Who can't produce a movie? But if you want to tweak it and get good at it, this is the place to come in and check out.
Over the years, many public access stations like KGEM have struck a balance between their roots in community programming, like that seen on KMAC, as well as a future contracting with the city for more municipal events. It seems that the way forward is finding a balance between the past and the future, protecting the rights of the individual and giving the community a place to spread their voice, while also highlighting the city events and acting as a bridge between the people and the city government. It's a unique place for people to come together and express themselves, a valuable asset for the community to have, though not many know about it. Public access stations, at the end of the day, are here to serve the people, not the other way around. Their goal is nothing more than to give citizens a place to express their voice and make TV shows. And though public access stations like KGEM will have to change over time, that will always remain the same. Public access will always be about the people. Public access will always be community television.